Dr. Moshe Lewis here. We're at the second International Impact Awards. Tell us who you are and tell us about your book.
Well, my name is Edward Milligan. I write by E.T. Milligan. I'm an author and publisher, independent publisher, and I write the Blake Cutter Detective Series. It's a 4-book series. The 4th book just was released and published here in August. And the book is about a policeman who's a detective whose wife is killed in a car bomb intended for him while he's a detective in Miami on the greatest night of his life when he's getting awarded the Miami Police Detective of the Year. And so the mafia is after him to destroy him, but his wife is in a car and she gets blown up instead of him. So it leads him on a path of redemption, of revenge to try to bring down the whole mafia organization. So the 4-book series is a continual story throughout the whole 4 books. And I'll actually have a 5th book planned for next month.
Sure. Talk to us about some of the secret goals and purposes that you wrote this series for and that you were trying to hope come across to the audience reader.
Yes, when I was a boy, I grew up in Louisiana, very hot and boring in the summertime, trying to get through summer. You know, school was a great thing then because it kept you busy. But my family was on a fixed income. Mother died, father I never knew. So my aunt and uncle who had no education, they basically took me in. So during the summertime, I was so bored, so I found out about this detective series called Don Pendleton, the Executioner series. Little small paperback books that you could order. And so I started ordering them and reading them, and I got very interested. And I liked the fast action. Mac Bollane, who was this big guy who chased these back underworld criminals. And I really liked that style. So, but I think I probably finished reading them about 14 or 15. But I decided, I said, you know, one day my dream would be a detective fiction writer like that. But I just put it on the shelf because they didn't have money, didn't have a way out. So I went to college, joined ROTC, got in the ROTC program, got commissioned as an officer. And during the 23 years I spent on active duty, when I wasn't in the field, I wasn't doing military duties, I was always thinking about my dreams. So I love poetry and writing. I actually won an International Poetry Award, but I kept my mind on writing fiction. So about midway through my career, I wrote the first book, Past the Line, which was dealing with the bombing and the fact that Blake Cutter, who's the detective, he has a real meltdown after his wife's death, so they transfer him to the SBI, a fictional State Bureau of Investigation, to do investigation. So there's a drowning. I'm not going to give the whole book away, but I'm just kind of setting the stage. So there's a drowning that took place, and a lady who's a suspect is actually a doppelganger of his late wife, looks just like his late wife. So he has a battle between investigating her, and I try to bring a lot of irony in investigating her as a suspect, but also he finds himself falling in love with her as sort of a replacement for his wife. And he's fighting these demons of trying to get over that and do that. So throughout the 4 books, he basically tries to arrest her, but he's in love with her. But at the same time, he's trying to track down the mafia group. So book 2 continues the story. Book 3 is actually one of the international bosses goes to China to try to smuggle in some drugs and stuff and some sarin gas to do a terrorist attack in Miami to cover for a bank heist of $1 million they're going to use it. And so he has to, Blake Cutter and a lot of other police, and he joins the police and other agencies to try to take down this mafia, because his ultimate goal is he wants to get to the head of the snake. And then in book 4, which I just finished, which is you never live until you die, he actually runs into a lady who keeps saving his life as he's going through these missions and raids, and she saves his life, but he doesn't know why. You know, and so I don't want to give the whole story away, but it's a continual story, cliffhangers at the end of every book. And the reason and so when I became an adult, I read a lot of James Patterson. I actually patterned some of his writing because I like those fast, hard-hitting action type of books, and that's the style. And so that's been my passion. So I was able to continue my career as a military officer. I retired as a lieutenant colonel, did a lot of different assignments, but in my spare time, I always wrote. I always spent my time, so I almost had 2 personalities going on at the same time.
So lots of intrigue.
What an amazing series of books. And, 23 years in the military. How did your military experience shape your books? I want to know that.
That's a great question. I think as a writer, you have to have perseverance, you have to have determination and hard work. And while I was in the military, all the time being an officer, learning those traits and then learning resiliency and overcoming obstacles, and I think keeping positive, all these were attributes that you learned as a military officer and as a soldier. And so I was able to use those attributes and those qualities that I was learning in the Army to when I was off duty and in my spare time to continue writing. So as I'd run into writer's block or something, I would just put it down and wait. I'd get into a plot and I'd say, well, I don't know what I'm going to write next, but I have faith and I believe that I'm going to figure out what to write. but that military belief, because in the Army, you get a mission and you can't really say, well, no to the mission. You have to figure out how to shape the mission. Even if the battle changes, you still have to accomplish the mission. So you have these branches and sequels to your mission. So I used all that knowledge to basically help me with writing. And I think what I want to do with young people is teach them resiliency, that they can use whatever skill, whether you're a painter or a skydiver or whatever, a boater, a fisherman, get the best out of use whatever assets that you have or whatever businesses that you're in to complement each other and learn skills. And that's what I did. And I just made the most out of my life doing that.
Wow, that's incredible. So what kind of feedback have you gotten from your books?
Oh, I've gotten great feedback. My first book, Past the Line, has won 2 book awards. The second one was a finalist in the American Fiction Awards. And this book, Remember the Sabbath, one is the book that's being featured here tonight. So I've gotten a lot of people have come back and said, well, it reads like a movie. I've had people come back with reviews and unsolicited, And I always feel like if you ask somebody for a comment, if they're a friend, they don't want to hurt your feelings, they may tell you a good comment. So I made sure I didn't ask anybody. And when I had a book signing, I would put a poster up and I let them read it. And if they're interested in it, fine. If they wasn't, that's okay. But I think with that, I got a lot of good comments. People said it read like a movie. People said that they couldn't put it down. So those are the things that you want. It's not so much if the money comes or fame or bestseller comes. I never wanted to focus on that. What I wanted my legacy to be was that I was a writer, I worked hard, and I accomplished my goals. I have 2 daughters, and I want them to know that if they don't focus on money and focus on being famous, they can accomplish their goals.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that information. And again, congratulations on your book. Congratulations on your award and your military service.
My name is Edward Milligan. I write by E.T. Milligan, and the book is about a independent publisher, and I write the detective whose wife series, the 4-book series, the 4th book just was Miami on the greatest night of his life. And the book is about awarded the Miami Police Detective of the Year, whose wife and so the mafia is after him for him while he's a detective in the Miami on the greatest night of his life is in a car, and she gets awarded the Miami Police Detective of the Year. Redemption, and so the mafia is after revenge to try to bring down the whole mafia organization. But so the 4-book series is a continual story that him so it leads him on the path of redemption of revenge to try to bring down
the whole
about
some of the secret goals and purposes that you wrote the series for and that you were trying to help come across to the audience reader.
Yes, when I was a boy, I was
talk to us about some of the secret goals and purposes that you wrote the series for and that you were trying to help come across to the audience reader.
But my family was, when I was a boy, mother died, father very hot, and so on in the summertime trying to get through summer. School was a great thing then. So during the summertime, I was so bored. My family was on a fixed income called Mother Died, Father I Never Knew. So my aunt and uncle who had no education, they basically took me in. So during the summertime, I was so bored, so I found out about this detective series called Don Pendleton, the guy who chased these back underworld criminals back books, and I really liked that style. And so but I was reading them, and I got very finished reading them about 14 or 15. But I decided, I said, one day my dream would be a detective fiction writer like that. And I really liked that style. So, but I was money, didn't have a way out. So I went to college, joined ROTC. But I decided, I said, one day my dream would be a detective fiction writer like that. But I just put it on the show, and I didn't have money, didn't have a way out. So I went to college, joined ROTC. I was always thinking about my dreams. Program, I love poetry and writing. I actually won an international poetry award. I spent on active duty when I wasn't in the field. I wasn't doing military duties. I wrote the first book, Past the Line. So I love poetry and writing. I actually won an international poetry award. Blake Cutter, but I kept my mind on writing fiction. He had a real meltdown after his wife death, so they transferred him to the FBI, fictional State Bureau investigation and investigation. Blake Cutter, so there's a drowning. I'm not going to get he had a real meltdown after his wife death, so they transferred him that took place to the FBI, fictional State Bureau investigation of his investigation. So there's a drowning. I'm not going to get so he has a battle between investigating her. So there's a drowning that took place and a lady investigating her as a suspect, but also he finds himself falling in love with her just like a replacement for his wife. So he has a battle between investigating her and I try to bring a lot of irony in investigating her as a suspect. He tries, he finds himself falling in love with her as sort of a replacement for his wife, and he's fighting these demons of trying to get over that and do that. So throughout the 4 books, book 3, he tries, he basically tries to goes to China to try to smuggle her in some drugs. He's trying to track down the mafia gas to do a terrorist attack in Miami to cover for one of the international bosses. Goes to China to try to smuggle in some drugs and Blake Cutter and a lot of other sarin gas to do a terrorist attack in Miami agencies to try to take down for a bank heist. Ultimately, he wants to get to the head of the snake. Blake Cutter and then a lot of other, which I just finished, and he joins which is you never live till you die. He actually runs into a lady who keeps saving his life as he's going through these missions of rage, which and she saved his life, which is you never, so I don't want to give the whole story away, but it's a continuous story. He runs into a lady who keeps saving his life, and the reason I read missions and became an adult, I read a lot of things. He doesn't know why. So I actually get a pattern some way writing because I like those facts, language that fast, hard hitting, and the reason I read, and so when I became an adult, I read a lot of James Patterson. So I actually pattern some of his writing as I like those facts, fast, hard hitting. Did a lot of different assignments within my spare time, so that's been my passion. I always spent my time. I was able to continue my career as a military officer. I retired as a lieutenant colonel. Did a lot of different assignments within my spare time.
Series of books.
Always wrote.
23 years in the military. How did your military experience shape your books? I want to know that.
That's a great question. I think as a writer, you have to have perseverance, you have to have determination and hard work. And while I was in the military, all the time being an officer, that's a great question. I think as a writer, and overcoming obstacles, perseverance, and I think keeping determination and hard work. And while I was in the military, officer and as a soldier, learning those traits and then learning resiliency and overcoming obstacles that I was learning in the Army to when I was off duty and as a military officer and as a soldier. And so I was able to use those attributes and I would just put it down that I was learning in the Army to when I was off duty and in my spare time to continue writing. I'm going to figure out what to write. But that block is something I would just put it down in the Army and wait. You get a mission and you can't really say, well, I don't know what I'm going to write out, but I have faith, shape the mission, and I'm going to figure out what to write. But you still have to accomplish the mission. So you have these branches and you get a mission and you can't really say, well, no to the mission. You have to figure out knowledge to the mission, even the battle changes. And I think what I want to still have to accomplish the mission. So you have these branches resiliency that they can use whatever skill, whether you're a painter, knowledge, to basically help me with writing, whatever. And I think what I want to do with young people is teach them to use whatever that they can use whatever skill you have, or whatever businesses that you're in, or whatever, complement each other and learn skills. And that's what I did. And I just made the most of my life doing that. Access that you have, or whatever.
What kind of feedback have you gotten from your
businesses that you're in? I've gotten great feedback. Complement each other and learn skills. That's what I did. I just made the most out of my life. Was a finalist in the American Fiction Award.
What kind of feedback have you gotten from your book?
I've gotten great feedback. The first book being featured tonight has won 2 book awards. The second one was a finalist in the American Fiction Award with reviews and unsolicited. I always feel like the book is being featured here tonight. So I've gotten a lot of people to come back and say, well, it reads like a movie. I didn't ask anybody come back. And when I had reviews and unsolicited, and I always feel like if you're interested, if you ask somebody fine. If they wasn't, that's okay. They don't want to hurt your feelings. But I think with that, I got a lot of good comments. People said it read like a movie. And when I had a book signing, they couldn't post it up, and I let them read it. If they're interested, it's not so much. If the money comes of fame, but I think with that, I got a lot of good comments on that. But I wanted my legacy to be that I was a writer. I worked hard. So those are the things that go on. It's not so much, and I want them to know that they don't focus on money and I never wanted famous on that. What I wanted my legacy to be was that I was a writer.
Thank you so much for sharing that information. And again, congratulations on your books. Congratulations on your award and your military service.
They can accomplish their goals.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that information. And again, congratulations on your books. Congratulations on your award and your military service.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.